We're outside now. It's time to plant your herbs for the season. And if you aren't planting yet, you should be getting your pots ready. So you want to add a little fresh potting soil. You want to dig up the soil, give it some air, and then make a decision how you are going to plant them, how many you can plant. In a pot this size, you might want to put 3 or 4 herbs. This one's a little bit smaller. I wouldn't put any more than 3. We do have mint here today. If you're a CSA member, you did receive chocolate mint in your share. We do recommend that mint be planted on its own. And even if you plant it into the ground, many people put it into a pot and then plant the pot into the ground. So, so the first thing we'll do is just get this mint into this pot. Okay. And you always want to give the plant a little bit of room, some potential to grow. Okay, and we can take this out. We want it, depending on your gardening expertise, you may want to keep the labels so that you know what you have in there. Another thing that can happen is mint, and a lot of these herbs are perennial. They're going to come back next year, and you'll have a better time identifying them that way. Okay. You want to make sure that your pots are going to drain. Herbs do not like to be overwatered. They don't like to be wet feet. Okay. You want the top of the pot to be about the top of your little pot, whatever was at the top, to be right about the top of your new pot. And of course, it's going to need to be in a sunny spot, so it needs sun, warmth, and it also needs to be watered. Looks like these were watered. They got a little bit of rain this morning, but I think they can use a little bit of extra water this afternoon. So all around the edges. Okay, and we can just set this aside. I like to have pots outside my kitchen door, so you know I like to cook before you even get into my kitchen. This one, so I'm going to put the dill in here and the cilantro, the parsley. You can also put together with those herbs can be basil. As CSA members receive their herbs every week, this information will be in their shares. There isn't only one way to plant these. There's different combinations. This is just our way of doing it, and sometimes we even change. Every year you read somebody else's recommendations and you try something new. You will find that as it gets really hot, that the dill is going to bolt up and flower. Same thing with the cilantro. It may dry out. It may not make it through the season. But the one thing I always tell our CSA members is that if your cilantro or your dill doesn't make it, the farmers will be successful and they will keep us as often as possible supplied with those 2 herbs. Just be really gentle with the soil. Again, the flat leaf parsley and the cilantro might confuse you. You might want to change the order around a little bit. Flat leaf parsley is the one that is most recommended today for cooking. They say that flat leaf is for adding to your favorite dishes, and the curly is really just for garnish. Truly, I believe they can be used interchangeably. Growing up, I don't ever remember seeing flat leaf parsley. We always saw curly parsley in the stores. So, one can take the place of the other if one does better than the other. Okay, keeping them a little bit, giving them distance, gives them time, gives them room to grow, and then they will reach hopefully their full potential in your garden. What I do sometimes tell people is that like these chives are coming back in my flower boxes. It's where I plant a lot of my herbs. So a lot of times if you're going to put them in pots and you are a little bit worried about them coming back, you can put them into your perennial garden, and then with their label, and you'll see them coming back in the spring, and they can be just such a beautiful part of your garden because they do get these pretty blue flowers. So I can put these chives right here, or I can go a little closer to the middle just to kind of give the pot a little bit more height. And then again, we want to make sure that we water. We've got a cloudy day, but not enough rain. These were a little bit dry. Don't overwater them. Keep them in the sun as much as possible. In this pot, we are going to put rosemary. Which we use quite a bit, in quite a few different recipes in our CSA. It's nice to have fresh in your garden. Okay, and then thyme. All of these herbs, the rosemary, oregano, and thyme can come back. It can come back as a perennial herb. It just depends on the harshness of the winter, if it likes where it is. It just depends on a few different elements. We're going to add oregano to this pot. Very often, if I had all of my herbs, I would add possibly sage to this pot. Rosemary, sage, and thyme being three herbs that do go together. They can, a lot of our members and our guests at the farm like to make maybe even like a little pizza garden. So you might put your parsley and your basil and your oregano together in a pot. That certainly works as well. Just be careful of never to overwater. I think it's water, and that sometimes can be different for some of the different herbs that you put together. If you see that your leaves are getting pale yellow, then you know that you're overwatering. They might need a little bit of food in the herbs. Usually they can make it through the summer without just a really good potting soil, but you might want to feed them just a little bit. Don't overwater and keep them in full sun. That's where they thrive the best. We do have strawberry plants in our farm market right now. They're already blooming. These pretty white flowers will become strawberries. They're really fun to have in your yard. It is going to be strawberry season, the end of May, early June. I don't know, this cold weather might be holding them off a little bit, but they're ready to be planted, and then it's really fun for children to go outside to see these bright red strawberries early in the morning that can come in and put it on their cereal, but it's fun to have it in your own yard. So pick one up.